We see stone as a cradle-to-grave, cradle-to-cradle type product. So you've got to think about the performance in use of the stone. And if you design it for the water flow, surface water management, and its pointing and position in the final works, you are going to make it last forever, basically, with a small part of maintenance. The skill is in understanding how stone performs under environmental conditions and designing it to manage that dependent on the choice of stone that you make for that building, so that it stands the test of time. So the maintenance is one aspect where if you proactively look after a building and you make a stitch in time that lasts 9, then it pays dividends to do that. And some clients don't see necessarily the benefit of doing that and then end up having to spend a lot of money to refurbish or conserve their projects rather than building it into the process of maintenance and inspections and careful consideration of the building as it moves through time. Thinking about areas where stone needs to be carefully configured for its environment, one example would be a coping stone. Some stones would be good for a facade, but they wouldn't necessarily be good for a coping, or at least they would need protection in that coping. So quite often we'll say, well, either we need to lead dress that coping to keep the water off it, or you make a companionable choice of stone that goes with the facade stone in a frost-resistant stone for the coping so that it is appropriate for its position in the long term. Another example of a design choice might be in the use of drips and moulds and hood moulds and elements of architectural treatment to a facade where you're dealing with the water flow and you are mitigating frost and water damage on your facade. And so if you understand the nature of stone and how it performs on a building inherently, then when you're designing it and you're considering jointing positions so that the joint isn't aligned badly so that water can flow straight through in the wrong place, for example, you're bringing that expertise continuously into the front end of the design project, which will then stand the test of time in the finished goods. Multiple choices, multiple different options, multiple ways to deal with either material selection or design that can benefit the project and the client and the end product.